Hey everyone. So in this episode, we're going to be deploying our application, but we're not going to be deploying it to the internet. We're going to be deploying it to a server or on our own machine. So for that, we're going to be using an IIS server, and we'll need to install a SQL database. And I'll show you why you need a SQL database and why you cannot use this local one. So first of all, every Windows computer has IIS on it, but you need to enable it. So if you press start and you type in features, you should have this turn Windows features on or off pop up. So open it up, and in here you should see this one here, Internet Information Services. Go ahead, tick it, and press OK. That might take like a minute or two to set up, but once it's done, you will be able to host websites on your machine. So once that's installed, go ahead into your C drive, and you should see this folder called inetpub. Open it up, and you want to go to the www root folder. In here, you can see I already have some websites in there, but what you want to do is create a new folder where you're going to be we're going to be publishing our blog. So just create a blog, go into there, and copy this path. And let's right click on your project and click publish. In here, so you want to press start publish, and you select the IIS FTP etc. version and create a profile. Now we're not deploying it to the web, so these first three options don't really apply to us. We want the file system. And in here, just paste in the location of this blog folder. Press next. And you don't really need to fiddle with this, just leave it as it is and press save. Go ahead, click publish. Should run for like a few seconds. It will build your project and spit out the application into your blog. So you can see here all this stuff, all these images we don't clean up. I should do an episode on how to clean this up and how to include your development environment images from public, how we're going to exclude that. So now that it's published here, you want to go into your start menu and open up IIS, so Internet Information Services Manager. So you can type it in you can bring it up by typing in IIS in your start menu. So bring it up, and in here you want to go into Sites, Default Website, and in here you should see your blog folder. Right click on it and press Convert to Application, and you should see this window, and everything here by default should be alright. Press OK. Cool. Go ahead and go into a tab on your browser and type in localhost and just press enter. So if you have this window pop up, it means your IIS is installed successfully. Another way you can access it is typing in 127.0.0.1, and this is just your local IP address, and you can use this in the future to sort of mimic real life scenarios, but we're not going to go into that yet. So localhost/blog, and at the moment I'll tell you flat out right now, it's not going to work. And if you ever run into a scenario where you publish a website and you will run into something like this, so you don't know what's going on, it's just HTTP error 500. Okay, so you go into your startup, and right here in your configuration you have app developer exception page, right? So because the environment, the development environment is enabled when we're in Visual Studio, when we publish, it's actually switching to production. So go ahead, move this out of this, basically move it out of so it's enabled permanently. and go ahead, publish this again. Okay, that's successful. So now if we refresh it, cool. So now we get this big ass error where you're probably not going to understand any of this, but basically what it's saying is there's a network related issue with your SQL server. And the reason this error pops up is because if we go into our SQL Server Manager, this local database that we're connected to here is exclusive to the Visual Studio environment. So that database is managed by Visual Studio and is only accessible during only accessible if you run your application through Visual Studio. And to counter this, we have to install our own SQL Server on the machine and change the what's called the connection string um, to accommodate the change. I'll leave the link in the description below. What you want to do is you want to go into this website and you want to download an SQL 2017 developer for developers. It's free and it's really easy to install. So you just download it, open up the installer, select basic. You don't need to do much, and just press install, and that should install it for you. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to install it again. Once it's installed, you should be able to find your database through here. So usually if you can see the name here, all right, this is the name of my machine. So the way you can find out the name of your machine, you can go into this PC, or like my computer basically, click properties, and in there you will find the name of your machine, and you want to add SQL Server, and you want to go on local, and usually you will like it will even maybe try to find it here, and you know, it'll probably find it automatically for you here. Another thing is I can't remember if you will have it by default from the SQL Server installer, but you want SQL Server Management Studio 17. So what this does is basically you can use it's a little bit, it's like Visual Studio, but not for developing, but rather um, for databases. And in here you can like set up your different connections, and you can see I'm just using my default Windows authentication that I use for this computer. And yeah, make sure you have this installed as well. It's free as well. And yeah, so once you have this installed, all you have to do is let's copy the app settings file. Let's rename it to app settings.production.json, right? And you will see it will sort of cascade into these app settings. Let's go into here, copy this default connection string, and let's put it into here. Actually, it was already copied there. So then you want to click on this one, copy the name, and put it instead of basically you want to put in want to put the value as the server name, and copy it into your app settings. So because and the reason we need it here is when you apply migrations, you can't specify which app settings to look at, so you'll just have to implicitly go in here and change which database connection you're using. So production, actually let's do this local SQL, and let's do Visual Studio. Okay, so comment this one out, and yeah. Want a .NET if database update. Cool. And if we look in here, we should see my blog, but everything is going to be obviously empty. So if we look into my posts, yep, everything is empty. So, and the accounts are going to be empty as well, but we obviously handle that by having the seed here. So we're going to see how that works out. So go ahead, comment this out again, and make sure we keep our Visual Studio for development here. So close this, and let's publish this again. Okay, refresh it. Meanwhile that's loading, you can take a look into your login. You can see that the production one is here as well. Okay, so this is the next issue that you're going to run into, and this is basically saying, right, this application pool right here. So this is going to, I didn't see many tutorials of this online, so I think it's important to mention here how you configure this. The application pool is basically this. So what is an application pool? If you go into your PC, see end users, you will see all these different users. And this is basically an application pool is like just like another Microsoft account, right? It has its sort of roots in the Active Directory and has its own permissions, same as you have like an administrator account, a user account. Application pools are just different accounts, and they are used so you can sort of limit what that application pool can do to your system. So if it has something like administrator permissions, it can be very dangerous. So this is why you can sort of use application pools. But we're not going to be hosting to the internet from our machine. So what we want to do now is open Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. Want to connect to our database. Okay. And in here we'll have databases and my blog, so expand that. And go also expand security here. And you'll see I'll have this, I already have this, but if I open up this application pool here, you want to make sure what you have is the login name. Just type it out because you won't be able to search it, and if you search it for it, it might crash. I don't know why it's made like this, but yeah, make sure you just type in. You can copy this IIS Apple name here and just paste it in here. And server roles you want public. User mappings you want it to map to my blog, and give it let's give it DB owner, right? So default application pool is DB owner. So press OK. Let's refresh this, and we're good. And let's see if we get any errors. Nope. And it's working. So let's try to sign in. What was the login? I can't remember the login. So admin and password. That was incorrect. Admin at test password. Let's make sure it actually seeded it. Actually, I think it should have. And it didn't seed. Okay, so one of the reasons I can think of why it didn't seed is because it's sort of, the application was running and it crashed here, but then it carried on, and this Basically, the seed was kept, but the application kept running. So what we can try to do and just restart our server here. So once it's restarted, refresh. And let's see if it's seeded now. Yep, and there it is. Okay, so if you're a good lesson takeaway of this, just realized this myself. So if this crashes on the first try, just restart the website and this code should run again. So yeah, now let's try to sign in. Admin, password. Cool, we're on the admin page. Let's add a new post, make sure everything works. Choose a file. Submit, home. Okay, so let's take a look. Why did the image not load? Error. So the reason this might occur is because we don't have enough permissions to the folder. This is a secure folder, so you can check this by start new folder. You can see it's like you need administrator permissions to sort of even create a folder here. When you publish stuff to the internet, the host provider usually takes care of all the security aspects of it for you, so you won't need to worry about it there. So let's go into our groups and users, and we want to take a look at our IIS users, since that's where the IIS app pool lives, and we just want to allow full control of it. Let's click apply. It's going to do it for all the subfolders as well. So let's make sure. Security, okay, so it does. Just to be sure, let's go into our default app pool and recycle it. Okay, let's refresh this. And let's edit this. Upload an image. And okay, so we can't find it. And the reason I can't find it is must be something. It must be getting confused with the controller. All right, yeah. So you can see that the address it's actually getting at is /image, but we live at /blog. So again, this is something you have to accommodate for your IIS environment, and you won't necessarily have to accommodate for when you're, publishing it to the internet. So we want to go into our views, home, and open our index and post page. And in here, let's make a variable called base path. And we want to get the base path from our context request path base. Cool. And let's just stick it in here. And we want to do the same for here. Like so. Okay. Let's publish this. Refresh. Cool. And now it's working. Nice. So, yeah, this will be the end of this episode. So in this episode, we looked at how to set up our hosting server on our machine, and how to set up and connect it to a database on our machine again, and how the application pool sort of works. And a lot of this you won't have to do when you actually publish it to the shared hosting, because they take care of this stuff for you. But yeah, it's nice to know how to sort of handle this stuff when you want to develop on your local machine. Yeah, this will be it for this episode. If you like it, leave a like, subscribe. If you have questions, leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer them all. And check the description for all the links. I will try to leave as much information in there, and how to fix errors if you like some common errors and how to fix them. But yeah, as always, see you in the next episode.